I squished a banana in my bag and it's all gone all over my laptop.
You are?
Squished a banana in my bag.
Oh, yuck.
I was liming and, and then I went to get my laptop out and I was like, what?
I put a banana in my bag yesterday too, in a plastic bag and shoved it in my handbag.
Oh, that's quite forward thinking.
It was because I always, if I take a Tupperware and it's got liquid, it just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So I put that and a Tupperware anyway. The same thing happened yesterday. I pulled it out of this. I went to the podcast show 2024. It's like
Comic-Con.
It's like a nerdy podcast event. To be fair, it was a pretty amazing event. So well organized, really cool speakers. I was like, you know what it reminded me of? Remember like Girls' Day Out Expo?
Yeah.
And you'd get like a free Nivea lip balm.
Yeah.
And
you got all these freebies from all the stands and like 20% off and like all that.
Yeah. It was like that except for radio and audio nerds. I was like taking all these business cards from like AI this kind of microphone. I was like, and it was quite funny because you know how 5-10 years ago podcasts were pretty lame, no one listened to them.
I also still think now people are like, oh, you just podcast? It's like a little hobby.
Yeah,
it's like, no, we actually make money. It's a business. And everyone's
there
like,
were
wow.
actually a lot of people at the expo talking about monetization of podcasts and how it's pretty hard. Like a lot of podcasts don't make money. And also, oh my God. So I went to this talk. I was like texting like the whole time I was
like,
there.
oh my God, I just met so-and-so. Oh my God, I met this person. I'm like, I don't know who they are, babe, but I'm really happy for you.
I was like absolutely on one. So I was like sitting there. You know Elizabeth Day, I'm like I'm obsessed with her. Oh, sorry, for anyone who doesn't know. Elizabeth.
I don't know.
I was shocked when you were like, who is that?
I could see you were so excited. So I was like, leaned over to Emily, our, bless her heart, our content editor.
Can I say, when you say bless her heart, it makes it sound like she's really struggling.
No, she's just like such a sweetheart.
Yeah, she's so cute.
And I was like, Emily, do you know who Elizabeth Day is? She's like, no. I was like, thank goodness. And then we Googled and we both looked and we were like, oh yeah, she's a big deal. But like,
she is.
Anyway.
She's really good friends with Dolly Alderton.
Okay.
So both of them are journalists, writers, speakers.
Gotcha.
They're hilarious.
Yeah.
Like what I love about both of them is they speak about dating and love and just life as a woman in a really fun but intellectual way. Like they really challenge the societal norms and and I really respect the way that they write and speak and they're just hilarious. Anyway, I actually went to this.
Such a fangirl. They're just hilarious.
The most embarrassing, basically, on track. So she did this diversity talk where she was saying if you look at the podcast, like the top podcasts in the UK or in the world, it's dominated by white men.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess it wasn't really something I was aware of. Weirdly, I think maybe in New Zealand it's because we're often in podcasts. Like so are heaps of actually female podcasts in New Zealand and Australia.
Yeah.
But I think in the UK and the US it's quite different. Anyway, she was just talking about the fact she knows she's a white female and there's obviously black voices that need to be heard. Like voices,
other minorities,
so many. It's not like she was recognizing the fact that she's also coming from a place of privilege, but she was like, why there's so many old white men in the podcast charts? Anyway, I was sitting there listening to her, and I weirdly haven't been that emotional lately. I don't know if it's my anti-anxiety or what it is, but I was sitting there with tears in my eyes, just like,
are you on your period?
No, I was so inspired.
Yeah, okay,
I was like, you're awesome. She's so, oh my God, I'm such a fangirl. Anyway, so she finished.
Hilarious. I've never seen you fangirl so much. Gosh.
Wait, okay, so what happened was the talk finished and I was like, I don't know what came over me, but I just stood up and walked, like beelined.
No.
Yeah. And it was the first talk I'd been to in the main stage. I didn't realize they were trying to usher celebrities off the side and into the other room.
And Sophie's like,
and I just strolled right up and I was like, hi. And then I sort of got there and had this lump in my throat and couldn't talk properly. And I was like, I honestly was on the verge of tears. It was so embarrassing. I was like, I'm a budding Elizabeth Day. And like, I was just like, I'm embarrassing. Anyway, I was trying to picture the podcast.
Yeah.
Because she started a production company and I was like, how cool would it be if we could somehow be involved with Daylight? Anyway, she was like, send us an email, I'll keep an eye out. So I went back to my seat. I quickly was like, Hi, Elizabeth. So lovely to meet you. Like, wrote it out immediately, sent it, and then
It was like, we've had this many listens and we're all about this. And I was like, wow, this is like a really great pitch.
it was quite passionate, right? Did you read it and think, nice?
Yeah.
Anyway, I got this email back, which definitely wasn't from her. Like, it was someone writing from her email, and it was signed off Elizabeth Day because I saw her wandering around the expo. Like,
and you were like, you just emailed me.
I was like,
what?
you definitely didn't see. It was like, I was actually quite gutted. But anyway, what I was thinking is, I think this is the one thing I've ever asked from our community. I would love to get her on the podcast. Do you think if we harassed her on social media, she would be like, oh my God, cool. Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure she'd be like, yeah, I'll do it to shut you up. Yeah. Which is a great way to get someone on the podcast.
Because we have actually pitched to her manager, because when I was telling her about the curve, she was like, oh, I think I've heard of it. And I was like,
what? How?
I don't know, but I thought maybe when we tried to get her on through her manager, they pitched it to her. Maybe. And so she'd heard of it. Anyway, if anyone listening is also a fan, in fact, even if you don't know who she is, can you please just tag her on socials? We'll put a video up or something. We just need like mass social media
she'll be
harassment.
like, what is going on? And then,
And also maybe she'll feel
Great
really
strategy.
special.
Yeah.
But if you, for a birthday present, Christmas present,
Could wrangle that.
I got
Okay.
you a Dyson hair wrap. Like, get me Elizabeth Day.
Okay. Yeah. I'll start now. Maybe by your like 40th or 50th.
Fine. Still be valid. Would love that.
When she's not podcasting anymore and she's got plenty of spare time.
Yeah. Although she might be podcasting forever because she's so amazing.
Yeah, true.
Now, what's been happening in finance news, Vic?
In finance news, so good old NVIDIA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Something in AI, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's the AI poster child. So they're really benefiting from all this demand in AI. Like if I think of the past week or so, how many times do you reckon we've said AI?
A lot.
Yeah.
Especially at
And
my
we're
expo.
newbies. Yeah, especially at the expo.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. Anyway, so their share price is now at $1,000 a share because they had another really, really massively great result this week. Their revenue for the first 3 months of the year was up 300% to nearly $30 billion.
Holy
they're
shit.
just fucking killing it. Sorry, excuse my language.
No, that's...
But-
have you invested in them?
I've invested in the S&P 500, so they're in there. And
Yeah,
they're becoming a bigger and bigger portion of the S&P 500, but the bigger they get.
What is their product exactly?
It's like AI computing chips, effectively. Like the founder, so it's still run by the founder, which is also crazy. So
Is it?
It's now a $2.6 trillion company.
How long's it been around?
So he started in 1993.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so it's like 30-something years old.
Yeah.
No, hold on. What were they doing before AI?
So they were doing certain types of chips, and then he found this new way of like creating a computing chip that was like, oh gosh, this is gonna be game changing. And then he was like, oh gosh, I've made this chip that's like super, super great. Anyway, and so he was like, right, okay, this is gonna change the world. And then everyone kind of launched on the AI bandwagon, and his chips were the superior ones. So everyone was demanding his chips. So this is how it's
I'm surprised.
started.
I kind of honestly, when people, even like celebrities or artists or whatever, become overnight successes,
Yeah.
NVIDIA feels like one of those, but they've obviously been around for like 3 decades.
Yeah. And this is why it's like,
Hold your stocks for the long haul.
because it's true. It's like things don't happen overnight. But anyway, so
If you were to get a tattoo, would it be hold for the long term?
yeah.
How much would I need to pay you to get a tramp stamp that says something like that, like a Warren Buffett quote?
If you paid me $100,000, I would do it.
Holy shit, let's crowdsource. I'm literally going to start a GoFundMe page.
Crowdfunding.
Imagine if you got 100,000 though.
And I'd put it straight back into the business.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That's the only deal. You're not allowed to just keep it for yourself.
And then so I just
Stunning.
I'm a
It's
lose-lose.
for me.
What are you gonna get?
I'll get, it shines here always around my bum hole.
Wow. Okay. Right. We always go from finance chat to like the most
No,
inappropriate.
seriously, give me a finance one. I'll get a finance tattoo if we raise $100,000. We can put it in our Curve bank account.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What should I get? I'll do anything.
Anything.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can brainstorm that.
Anyway, so the founder, he still owns 3.5% of NVIDIA. So he is now worth $90 billion.
For 3.5%?
Yeah.
You
So
know,
it's a tiny percent, but of a massive company, then it's still a massive amount.
yeah, that's tiny.
But I reckon he's sitting there wishing he probably hadn't given so much away. You know, imagine if he owned 100%. But
Sorry,
anyway,
how much is what's his net worth?
90 billion.
I just think sometimes when we get over 1 million, I can't
I
comprehend.
know, yeah.
Like
And-
90 billion, like what even is 1 billion?
But yes, so his fortune grew 7 billion in one day.
Is this from this?
Yeah, from the result last week.
I wonder what he did with that. Surely you sell out at that point.
Nah, that's a bad sign to investors.
True.
If a CEO is selling, you're like, oh God. But anyway, yes, it's interesting because now you actually have Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, all those big companies designing their own chips or trying to get into the chip game.
Shame. NVIDIA bet you.
Yeah.
I'm
but
kind
now
of-
they're
who's
like
NVIDIA's
looking at the video going, hang on a second.
What's
I want a piece
NVIDIA's
of that.
CEO?
What's his name?
Yeah.
Jinseng Huang.
Can we Google him?
Yeah, he wears like leather jackets. He's cool.
Oh, how
Yeah.
old is he?
61.
Shit, yeah, I love him. So he was 30 when he started this business.
Yeah. There he is.
Oh, he looks cool.
He looks cool, yeah. He looks like a Steve Jobs get on the stage and like sell my company to the world, you know.
Cool.
Anyway, they also announced, so their share price is at $1,000 now, which is quite hard for a lot of people to buy one share if you don't have $1,000 US. So they also announced a 10-for-1 stock split. Is it a green flag or a red flag, Soph?
It's a green flag.
Woohoo.
It's a green flag because in the olden days, back in the day, they used to do stock splits. So say NVIDIA's share price was like $500, but lots of people couldn't afford $500. They would
Yeah.
split the stock so it would be accessible for more people.
Yep.
But now you can buy like smaller fractions of shares on like
Yeah.
DIY platforms like Sharesies and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why they're still doing it. Is it more
Because
just
only, you can't, like a lot of people can't buy
access?
fractional shares. Like there's a lot of countries you can't, that's not possible still.
Oh.
Also like corporate investors or like institutional investors, they don't use platforms like Sharesies. So they have to buy. And also
true.
for employees, like if we were to give our employees stock and you could only do it in 1,000 increments,
Yeah, right.
you know, so it's just like easier to,
So it's basically like
But it's
having
always-
a piece of cake and then crumbling it up and then giving it to more people.
yeah,
you know?
still get the same amount of cake as one piece, but it's in lots of crumbles.
No, you wouldn't get the same size because if you've broken it up, you'd only get a tiny bit of that's not a very good analogy then.
No, in terms of the stock split. So from an investor's point of view, there's no difference. If you owned $10,000 of NVIDIA
Yeah.
and then they did a stock split, you'd still have $10,000 in NVIDIA. The makeup would be different.
So it's like having the same piece of cake, but it's been cut in a different way.
Yeah. It's been cut into 4 pieces, but you've still got the same amount.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We got there. But companies only do it when their share price has done so well because the share price has gone up and up and up and up. And they're like, oh gosh, it's too expensive now. We need to bring it back down in terms of the share price. So it's a good sign. That's why it's a green flag as well. Because it's usually, you wouldn't do a stock split if your share price had gone from $100 to $1. You're not then splitting it to 10 cents. You know, there's no point. Yeah. So, yes, but his commentary was super positive. He was like, AI is changing the world, all of this. We're in the next industrial revolution.
We kind of
All
are
this.
though. I feel like it's the invention of the phone all over again.
Yeah.
Like maybe not MSN, but in terms of the internet, massive. But I
Yeah.
do feel like AI is this next enormous giant change that's going to change the way we do everything.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And I'm not sure if I'm like terrified or excited by it. I'm trying to jump on the excited bandwagon, but I
Same.
was speaking to this really cool girl I met at our yoga studio.
I thought you were going to say at the podcast conference.
No. No, but she was saying because she used to work in tech over in the States.
Yeah.
And I said, gosh, it's so weird. I was at this, oh yeah, I had to.
Oh my God, you're like that girl. And at Bandcamp?
No,
We do.
at the expo, there was an AI chat and I looked around and it was all guys. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh God, guys are, and someone else had said to me, you know, men are adopting AI much more than women are. And I was talking to this girl I met at the yoga studio. She was saying, I'm not keen to get on board the AI bandwagon because even though, yeah, you could get diversity now, she's like, who created AI? So like how much control are you going to have from now onward in terms of like the perspective it was created was from a white man. It was just an interesting perspective where I was like, oh shit, that's quite a good call.
And disproportionately, women are probably more affected in terms of the job losses because we are overrepresented in like roles that are admin assistants or office assistants, all of those jobs which are more higher risk of terms of being redundant from AI.
Do you know what I heard the other day? Guys talking about part-time work as a fractional job. Have you heard that? And apparently they all they've started calling part-time work fractional work because it like sounds a bit more chic than part-time and like, you know, part-time mums or whatever. I was like, motherfucker.
Why is that bad? Oh,
because it's like you just decided that your part-time work is more fucking elite than a woman's part-time work. Yeah. So we're calling it fractional working. I was like, nah. Yeah. Not getting around it.
No, fair enough. Yes, so that's all I had on NVIDIA.
I thought you were going to say that's all I had. I was like, that was one thing.
No. Still going on that AI discussion, I think you could flip that on its head. And if you were, say, a university student right now and you were like, what should I study? Like you would be wanting to study like coding and AI and like those are the jobs that are going to be such high demand in the future. And like there's a crazy stat. So in the UK, like companies are climbing over themselves to get people with AI skills. Like even think of us. We're like, who can we talk to about getting AI in the business? And
we actually spoke to someone the other day and I was like, well, if this is shit, we'll just talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, he was like, okay, I'll do a good job, I promise.
But you know, like people can sell you stuff when you do
blackmail consultants.
I know. Sorry, that was naughty. But it was more the idea that like you're paying all this money. You don't, because we don't understand AI. Yeah. We're like, cool, we'll pay $15,000 for this, but you don't know really.
Yeah.
I think just like the way that lots of industries are very, the lingo and the language is so hard to understand on purpose so that you can sell it to other people. And I was kind of just like, is this worth it? Like you don't know until you've done it.
But also I think not embracing it could be even more detrimental to the business as everyone will play catch up and everyone will be way more advanced and you'd be the one sitting there being like, oh, why didn't I do that earlier? So
we're confirming the quote. Is that what we're...
Yeah. We're just having a little business meeting on the podcast. What other agenda items do we have to get through? Anyway, so yes, people with AI skills can earn 14% more than their peers.
Really?
Because they're in such high demand.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's upskill.
Yeah. And in the US, it can be up to 25% more if you've got skills in AI.
I reckon it's similar to social media. You know how, like, sorry to anyone that's like over the age of 50 listening to this, we love you. But I must say, you know, when you're in a position of like feeling a little bit like you've not missed the boat, like I felt like this with TikTok, for example, still do. Lol. But I feel like with AI, it's similar. Like you can... Like
you can lean out or you can lean in.
Yeah, and like a lot of people will just, because social media is so hard to understand if you've never done it.
Yeah.
It's easy to be like, I'll just pay you, can you do it?
Yeah.
But actually like
learning and constantly
to do it.
Learning is great. Yeah, no, definitely. There's also an interesting article I saw, and I think we're going to see more and more of this, is that ChatGPT, so OpenAI, who owns ChatGPT, approached Scarlett Johansson and was like, hey, can we use your voice? They're creating an AI assistant effectively.
This was at the expo.
No.
Yes, that they can use your voice and basically make you say anything. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit. Like, how are you meant to imagine if someone made something up that you said and it sounded like you?
Yeah. Well, that was like, there was a whole lot of fraud cases where people were using AI to replicate children's voices.
That's right.
Calling their parents, being like, hey, I'm in trouble, like, which is fucking horrible. But yeah, so they approached Scarlett Johansson and were like, hey, can we use your voice? It's kind of like a Siri. Like, can we use your voice for that? Because she was in that movie, do you remember Here?
Yes.
Yeah. And she was effectively, that was like way before.
It was quite random.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a bad movie.
Yeah. I was like, where is this going?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway. So, and she was like, no. And then they released the AI product. It sounded exactly like her. And now she's fighting them saying, you used my voice. And they were like, no, we didn't. We've used, and like how do you even fight that? Anyway.
I've seen this on socials. I've seen it being like the scary truth of AI. I didn't actually read the article, but
yeah. So I think it's going to be quite interesting, the lawsuits that are going to come out from it, because it's a company like OpenAI owns the company. They own the AI product. Therefore, they're liable. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be so many cases.
But who's that stupid though to like? If someone like Scarlett Johansson says, no, you can't use my voice.
Well, they say that they didn't.
That's what I mean. I bet they didn't, because you wouldn't be stupid enough to do that.
Yeah.
Would you? You're a giant company. It's going to be public news. Or maybe you do it on purpose.
But it's like, how
different
does the product need to be for it not to be similar? It's like clothing. You know, I could fully copy that green shirt and put a little button or a little stitch, and then I haven't copied it. You know, it's like, how different does something have to be? Anyway, if you're looking for a profession, if you're sitting there as a young adult looking for a new profession,
I reckon... young adult, you just sound so old.
I know.
The youth of today.
I reckon an AI lawyer they would have
Oh,
their
there was
hands
that
full.
at the expo.
Oh, dear
No, I'm joking. There
gosh. I was
wasn't.
like,
what else is happening, Vic?
Other things, Live Nation. So there's been an update there. So you know how the whole Taylor Swift saga, how she released her tickets on Ticketmaster. So Live Nation was Ticketmaster.
Sort of.
Yeah, and there was that whole falafel.
It was a delicious falafel.
What was I trying to say?
You were trying to say kerfuffle.
Oh my god!
It was a falafel. So good.
Oh my god! Wow.
So let's talk anyone through who missed the falafel. What was happening with Ticketmaster?
So the kerfuffle was that Live Nation owns Ticketmaster, and Taylor Swift went to sell her tickets to the Eras tour, and there was a whole breakdown in the system in terms of the whole site effectively broke down, and then there was people.
Oh, that's right. They promised her that there would be no issues.
Yeah,
that they
could
handle
it.
their demand, and then they couldn't.
And they've got the biggest monopoly on the entertainment ticket sales industry in terms of they've got like 40% market share. Like she couldn't really have gone with anyone else. So she said, make sure shit doesn't happen. Anyway, it did. Then there was this whole drama of the fact she couldn't sell them through anyone else. So it was the only place she could go. So anyway, back in 2010, Ticketmaster and Live Nation merged together, and they promised the US government that they would compete in a nice way in terms of with other competitors. They wouldn't hold such a dominant position effectively, and now they've kind of gone back on their word and they've stifled a lot of competition. They're kind of getting too big for their boots, so the US government is now suing them for antitrust or anti-competition behavior. So yeah, so it looks like there will be a breakup of Ticketmaster and Live Nation, which is like, I don't know, a forced breakup is.
So sorry, Ticketmaster is owned by Live Nation.
Yes. Yeah.
So what does that mean if they separate?
So it just means that they will become two separate companies.
And why is that a bad thing?
To create more competition.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
Yeah. So it's kind of like they've just got too big and too big and too
I
big.
didn't even realise that was right. So Live Nation is a ticket place. So is Ticketmaster, and it's owned by the same people.
Yeah, you're owned by the same
the
company.
whole problem
Yeah.
that I obviously know.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
So.
But how is it if it's owned by the same people? Isn't that still the same thing, or is it not a?
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference in it being?
Well, they become two public companies, so they won't be owned by the same people. They'll be owned by the public.
Oh.
If that makes sense. Yeah. And they'll have different revenue streams, different customers, different like all of that. So
would it be like if we had the Blurb and that was like, you know, another financial platform that we had.
Yeah.
And it was just so successful.
Yeah.
And they were like, you have to divide and conquer. So it would be like the Blurb would be over here, the Curve would be over here.
We
would have to have separate stuff, separate strategies. Like
it would be like if we merged with Stephen Bartlett, Elizabeth Day, like all the top podcasts, and created this massive podcast media company. And then
there was no room for
dominated Spotify listens, and no one else could get their new podcast, podcast in. Then yes, the government could come in and be like, hang on, no, you guys, you're too big. We shouldn't let you merge in the first place. Sorry.
It's crazy that government even has a say over that.
There's huge discussions at the moment about it, particularly in Australia with like supermarkets. They have like what you call like an oligopoly or duopoly, because there's only a few companies. So it's not one company, but it's two.
And they own Aldi, all of the...
They own like Woolworths, Countdown, Pack and Save, New World. Like they're all owned by two big Australian companies. And so they have a lot of pricing power. So they're like, you know, if Countdown is selling milk for $4, the other company's going to sell it for $4. If they increase it to $5, well, of course they're going to increase it to $5. They can get more revenue, you know. So it's like this. So they're trying to break them up. And in the little corner fruit and veg shops just have no
hope of surviving.
Yeah. So there is a place for competition. And there's a whole discussion around it as well with all the big tech companies. Like Google just getting so massive.
Isn't Amazon the same?
Meta, Amazon, like Meta in social media getting way too massive. Like there's just like so many discussions around it.
God, that would be
and they just
boring discussion.
When you get bigger as well, you can just buy the small people.
Just eat them up.
You know, like Facebook bought Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, that could have been a hugely successful business right now. Yeah.
Can you please Google the worth of, I'll look it up.
Of Instagram now.
Instagram?
Sold. So it's estimated to be worth about $4 billion now.
And it was
Instagram.
sold for $1 billion.
Yeah, so 4 times the money in 14 years.
But still, $1 billion is pretty enormous.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm just thinking we're already over half an hour.
Nah, I was going to finish on some economic news, but
Yeah. Do you want to finish on something else? Non-finance related. She's like, I actually don't talk about anything but money.
If you have any suggestions of what Soph could get tattooed on her
Oh,
tramp
yeah.
stamp, just leave it in the comments. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, very helpful.
Yeah, on socials or in the podcast notes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God,
And we'll
fun.
approach some tattoo salons and see
Well,
what.
oh my God, imagine if we actually, I would get it. Mainly because it's a pretty funny story.
Yeah.
Except could we get it lower than our bikini bottom line so that it's not visible in togs? That would be my only request.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get it like on the sole of my foot.
No, we've already agreed to tram stamps.
Okay.
Oh, gutted. I know. Surely it's
Maybe we'll let the community decide. Where should we get it?
inside of our lip, please.
Please just say nowhere. Please say nowhere. Please say nowhere. Please say stop being so stupid, guys. Anyway, yes.